Okay, Jim and Janine, let's get down to business. As you know, you folks carry a lot of responsibility as mother and father to 3 girls. I understand this is a topic no one cares to talk about, but you do not want to be in a position in which one of or the both of you pass and the other spouse and your daughters are left with the added burden of financial difficulties. This is where life insurance comes into play. We, in our humble opinion, believe that for the good and well-being of your family, it would be wise to invest in a term life insurance policy. Now, the reason I believe you'd be better suited to a term policy than a whole life policy is because a term policy would be closer suited to your specificities. I understand your oldest is 17 and your youngest is 9. If your youngest chooses to go to college, she will be graduating in roughly 14 to 15 years, give or take. And this is where the beauty of term insurance comes into play. You can personalize your life insurance to cover 15 years from this year until the youngest of your daughters graduates college. So, in the undesirable hypothetical that yes, one of you pass, the payout, depending on the initial agreement, will be enough to provide support for your daughters through their college years and cover various other expenses. However, although a 15-year policy would be perfectly slated for arguably your greatest aggregate expense in your daughter's college, it may not be designed to finish your mortgage. So, you have the freedom to extend your policy to 17 years instead of the original 15 so that you will be financially secure to help with your daughter's education and still be able to pay off the house. Now, you may not be able to extend it midway through, but if you make that initial agreement as 17 instead of 15, that may be to your benefit. So, according to Practical Money Skills on YouTube, term insurance is relatively time flexible, which is why it is such a practical option, as I've covered. However, this isn't to say that term life insurance holds every advantage. An alternative to term life insurance is whole life insurance. The major difference between whole life and term life insurance is the end game. With whole life, the yearly premiums you'll be paying accrue in your inevitable passing, and not only do you get as much of a payout as you would with term, but you get a percentage of the premiums back from the insurance agency. With term, however, you don't get those premiums back. Once the term of the policy is over, if no one covered has died, that money rightfully belongs to the insurance agency. This is what turns many people off from term, because from a certain point of view, it can be viewed as a big waste. However, it is my belief that this wouldn't be the case for you. Term life insurance shouldn't be looked at as thrown away money in the event that no one dies. The policy runs out and you find yourself uninsured. It is an investment in yourselves. Life is too unpredictable to bet against. Yes, it is true that whole life is longer coverage. However, in most cases, it is a much more expensive premium on a yearly basis. I understand that in your particular case, money is a bit tight. So, at the moment, you folks don't need to worry about the rest of your life. Preparing for the future is important, but it's still something that needs to be taken in baby steps. When your term policy runs out, you will have options as to what you can do next. And I'd personally recommend you repeat with term, but like I said, baby steps. If you're not fully convinced that whole life isn't for you, allow me to provide another perspective. I'm not sure if you folks have heard of Dave Ramsey, but he is a well-known and respected individual in the field of finance. In his book, Ramsey talks about how insurance is not a medium through which people should be focused on making money. It's like going to a 5-star fancy restaurant and ordering the chicken tenders. They will be available, but that doesn't mean it's the right choice. Same with insurance. You can make it an investment that holds the potential for a return beyond that of the payout, but why spend extra money on yearly premiums through whole life when that extra cash could be better used for retirement savings or mutual funds that will grow faster than the insurance policy savings account? It is also worth mentioning that in whole life, the insurance agency has to make money too, which is why upon one's death, the insurance will only give an undeservingly small cut of the accrued premiums to you as long as they're already fulfilling their obligation to pay your beneficiaries for your death. Term insurance is still an investment, not in a traditional sense, but it's still absolutely vital. As for the terms of, well, your term policy, CNBC.com recommends that you reach for 10 times your annual salary. You must also take into account, though, that this insurance is supposed to pay for a mortgage and to assist with tuition. So if you were to want around $100,000 to pay for your daughter's education, or at least a part of it, that may require a highly yearly premium. One final thing I'd like to add, Janine, is that despite the plan you have through work, if you guys' monthly budget permits, you may want to consider a term life insurance policy separate from your work-connected plan. Those plans typically only come with a job, so if you lose the position, you could lose the coverage. I understand that money is tight right now, but it is always better for both parents to have some sort of life insurance in place. Even if you make enough individually to support the family as a whole, the surviving spouse may want to take some time away from work to regain footing, if you will. Something to bring up with your financial advisor, especially with the added costs of kids. Ultimately, a solid foundation of life insurance catalyzes the retirement journey, especially if you select term. The cash you would be sending toward a more expensive premium with permanent insurance can instead be invested and grow for retirement. With daughters growing up very quickly and money being a bit tight as of lately, term is what would provide you with the greatest value for however much time you need it. This customizable factor, instead of the more one-size-fits-all nature of whole life, is what I personally believe would be perfect for you guys and your family at this stage in your lives. Thank you for your time.